Solanki.
Thank you, Marilyn. This just became work. I was doing this to avoid work most of the time, but now it's just work. It's been 13 years in Canada now. Like, I feel like I'm one of you guys. But it's also, I have a conflicting mission. Like, I'm kind of a misfit in two cultures. I'm originally from India, but's been living. So like here, I'm like, when I'm here, I feel like I don't want to get bothered that much. But when I'm in India, I'm like, what's happening to people? Because there's no idea of personal space. Here you have so much space that nobody cares. So I moved to Canada like 13 years ago. My first city was Montreal, and I always believe every city has its own smell, and it's like a feeling of it. And then I lived in different places. I lived in Edmonton and then moved to Victoria. So like I've always felt like Montreal smelled like strawberry and cheese. And Edmonton was like oil and gas, obviously. And then I moved to Victoria, it was like weed and dead people. Do you guys remember when weed got legal and people were very excited about it? And the next day, like, nobody can buy it? It was like the whole revolution was fake. I moved to Victoria because it's my journey for enlightenment. But then I started feeling entitled when I moved here because of all the bike lanes and the lineups. I wanted to teach yoga and live a West Coast lifestyle, and that's why I grew my beard as well, like to give that vibe that I'm cool and calm and relaxed. But then I figured out that in Victoria or the West Coast, you have this special breed of people called hipsters. They kind of looks the same, but they just are rich. So when I moved here, like I was like going around different yoga studios trying to figure out what kind of like to teach yoga, and they'll ask me one question, like what kind of yoga do you teach? And somebody told me you have to have a niche, like a special style that people can buy from you. And I'm like, everything else was taken, like hot yoga was taken, beer yoga was taken, goat yoga was taken. I was like, I've seen many goats. You don't want to be around them when you're doing yoga. They smell. So like, well, they'll ask me a question, what kind of yoga do you teach? I'll say, I'll teach gluten-free yoga. And they'll ask me, explain, like, what's a gluten-free yoga? And I'll say in like yoga teacher's voice, I'll be like, gluten-free yoga is the type of yoga in which when you do the postures and the breathing practice, you don't have the desire to eat gluten anymore. And that's when I realized that like I have convincing power, like I can say random things and convince people. And they wanted me to teach classes like that. All I did was start a pyramid scheme after that. I just started selling oils for a while. It's like those are expensive oils they'll teach you. That culture is really big in the Vancouver Island. So like people have like oils for every like disease that you have. Like, I went to Salt Spring Island and I realized if there's going to be any place on the Vancouver Island or in Canada where they're going to put sage oil in a gas tank, it'll be Salt Spring Island. It's like, oh, let's bless the island, put sage oil. We don't know what's going to do to the system. I always think like Salt Spring Island is such a calm and such a relaxing place, such a holy place. They will have their own kind of a police force, and they'll call it that Holy Cops. So you know like how cops has this like a authoritative voice? It's like they were like, pull out. No, sorry, not pull out, pull over. Okay, pull over. It's like, it's 13 years, but I still do all these mistakes while I speak English. In my head, I don't think I have an accent, but I guess you guys are not gonna agree with that. In my head, I'm like, I sound like, almost like Lena, I guess. No, just joking. I have nowhere to go. So, like, yes, like the story of the holy cops. So it'll be like, so you'll be driving in your car, and there'll be holy cops behind you, and they'll be like, so this is the whole scene, how that will go along. Like, the cops, instead of saying in an authoritative voice, they'll be like using a yoga teacher. So they're like, and now I gently invite you to raise your arms above your head and put on your dashboard so that you can read your rights. And of course, they're going to be like a yoga cop, so instead of having guns and like a hard, what's the thing that we call it, bracelets? They'll and instead of wearing the police uniform, they'll be wearing Lululemon and drinking on kombucha. Instead of, yes, that's exactly the same feeling for me. I always think about the kombucha as a drink that was like invented to scare people. Like on the Salt Spring Island, that's like it's a very prominent drink, and I feel like if zombies will become vegan, that's the drink they'll go for. Zombies are very like a strange characters, right? Like they're like teenagers who don't finish their meal. Like it's almost like they are always hungry because they're always chasing you, wanting to eat you. Then they take a bite of you and then they walk away. You know, every religion is reinventing itself. You know, like how so I think about this thing a lot. So it's like Hinduism took along yoga to start selling it, like and Lululemons and all this stuff. Because you will go and see inside a yoga store, it'll be like namaste and all this stuff. Namaste is just a basic greeting, but like whenever you go to a yoga class, they'll try to explain namaste as it means something really big and important. It doesn't. So Hinduism has yoga, and like Judaism or Judaism has Paul Rudd. Because it's like he never gets old and it gets better and better, and like does movies like everything. So I think it's about time Christianity should come up with should tag along with some kind of an event or an activity. And I think the best one will be CrossFit. I mean, it just matches the whole description. Like, I don't even know what they're waiting for. Like, Jesus Christ was like looked the Scandinavian-looking guy from Middle East. Like he was fit, like he had like abs and everything, and he was on a cross meditating. So every year they'll have like CrossFit games instead of like it's just like they have it. So instead of CrossFit game, like the regular events, like they'll have like who can carry the cross the highest distance, longest distance. And like obviously they're gonna have an event called deadlifts. I don't even have to explain that, but that's good. So I'm missing the Freedom Convoy. This is the season when there was a Freedom Convoy. Like it doesn't matter if you support or against it. I'm not going to take a political poll out of it. I just miss it. This is a low level carnival. Like a low-budget carnival. It's like there's so many nice people to meet. Like I used to go for a walk or a run around that place, and you'll find free food all the time. And I'll just talk to the guys who don't believe in birds. That whole thing started as a spoof, like not believing in birds, but it actually went along really well, and people actually stopped believing in birds, and they had their own people. Yeah, this is not going that well. I met flat earthers there. Anybody flat earther here? No. You're gonna not yell, we are flat earthers. So I work in aviation, and I also believe that Earth is not flat; it's a cube. But it was nice. Like I really appreciate their the fact that no matter what they did or what has happened, that whole 1 week when they were actually demonstrating, it was really cold. Only Canadians can do that. -50 or -36, and they were like standing there. Yeah, I also like I'm a vegetarian. I grew up like that, and I met people that are vegan on the island, and it's amazing like how they want to convert you. I find that if you are a vegan, then I'm talking about the vegan that are outside here, not So like the vegans are like, for me, they'll be coming up like, why you're vegetarian? It's like, yeah, you eat cheese and all this stuff. Like, why do you do that? Why don't you get more plant-based? I was like, because of happiness. Have you ever seen vegan people's face? It's like they miss like something. It's like protein. So then I'll be like, okay, so I'll give them a reason, then they'll try to give them a reason. They'll try to see like, why don't you eat tofu? And like it'll the same feeling. It's like, no. Tofu is like a soulless cheese. You cannot mix with everything and it still tastes good. I think there's the people because and then I try to explain them like how veganism is not leads to you happiness. It's because vegan people they choose that because they're for a reason, because they're health reason. Some are vegan for a season because they just want to get along with everyone else, and then they're vegan vampires. These are the ones who like to sell to you like, don't eat cheese. I'm like, do you remember like when the photographs were started taking? It was like always cheese, and it was never kombucha. Kombucha is a scary word. Okay. Greta Thunberg? Anybody likes Greta here? Yeah. Oh wow, I cannot say anything about her. No, I wasn't about to say anything against her. You know, like the first time when she actually became famous. So what was happening? I always wonder, like the people she like disses on are the people actually invites him into those things. Always amazes me. So like all the kids in India at that time was like very like depressed because their parents will say to that, look at that teenager doing big things in her life, and you're still not able to clear 10th grade. I mean, I believe that a lot of things should be done for the climate change, and like we should do our own part, but not that aggressively. Because what she says will actually end up killing a lot of people in India, but that's okay. It's 1.4 billion. So when I moved to in Vancouver Island, my first place was Souk that I lived. Yeah. Nice. I was like the black guy there. It was like so versatile. Like it was Souk. I loved Souk, and it was like one of those places where you'll find nature and like it's very comforting to your health and all the stuff. So, but whenever I go for a walk on a street, I'll see posters outside, and it'll be very touching. So I used to see these posters of cats gone missing, and I always look into those posters and the eyes of those cats. They look very vicious. In my head, I'll think like, have these people ever realize their cat never goes missing? It just actually leaves them. I mean, cats make their own choice. Like, if you say a dog gone missing, yes. That guy did a stupid mistake and he ran away or something like that. If your cat does that, he's like, I'm out of here, going to Paris, smoke a cigar, having a baguette, drink a wine. While they're doing the whole thing, they're actually just doing a hashtagging itself, like a hashtag meow too. Hashtag Paul's Lives Matters. You guys been awesome. My name is Amit Solanki. Thank you very much.